Welcome to Yeshiva Dash, your sponsor, Louis Nishmas, and I'm Shalom Le'Av Sitzchok. We're holding in Basra, Daf Pei Beis, starting the two dots in Amud Aleph. It's about 5-6 lines down the line. Down the Amud. Says the Gemara, so we learned that if you have a tree, and the tree has branches, so if one purchased the tree only, so then if the branches are growing, he doesn't have to cut it off, because that's part of the idea. I'm giving you a tree, the tree can grow branches as much as you want. But if I'm buying 3 trees, and I'm buying the land under the trees as well, so then allow your branches to go only in the land, and not more than that. So if it overflows, then you have to cut it. So the Mishnah said that if, that's number one. Number two, the Mishnah said, is that if the branches are growing from the trunk, from the geza, so then it belongs to the owner of the tree. And if it grows from the roots, it belongs to the owner of the land. Says the Gemara now, start for the second point. What's the case that's growing from the trunk? What's the case that's growing from the roots? As the Rashbam explains, Roya Pnei means literally it sees the sun, which means it's above ground. Anything above ground belongs to the trunk. Anything below ground, meaning it's coming from the ground, that's the shirashim, that is the roots. It says more, if so, v'leichush dilmo masko aro sirton, v'omer le'tlata zvim tali v'is le'aro. So here, seemingly, this question is not related to what you said. But the word says, it's related somewhat. You could ask the question in different ways. But the word says, if my definition of a tree is whatever is seeing up above the ground, I don't care what's going on beneath the ground. So if you have, first of all, bought one tree, and the tree has 3 branches coming out of it close to the bottom, then mud flew into this field and covered the bottom of the tree. So when you're looking now on the tree, it looks like 3 trees. Because there's 3 branches that came out, and the mud is a little above where the tree started. So I have over here 3 trees. Look at 3 trees. If your determination is Pnei Chamo, that's how you determine what's a tree and what's not a tree, what's below grade. Right now, Pnei Chamo has 3 trees. Says the Gemara, Elo Amar Nachman Yokutz, V'chel Amar Rabbi Yochanan Yokutz. So what does it mean? When it says in the Mishnah that the branches belong to the owner of the tree, doesn't mean he keeps it that way. He must cut it right away. In other words, the Gemara is presenting a problem. If you're telling me that the branches of the tree belong to the owner of the tree, and anything above grade belongs to the owner of the tree, so he's going to let it stay, then mud will flow up, and suddenly it's going to look like 3 trees. Says the Gemara, no, he doesn't let it, he belongs to him, but doesn't keep it on the tree, he cuts it off from the tree. Cuts off from the tree, you won't have that problem. Says the Gemara, Nachman, Nektina, Dekel ein loy geza. The tree, the palm tree, called the dekel, that we learned earlier, that ein gizoy machlif, right? The Gemara brought before, doesn't change. The din is ein lo geza. What does it mean ein lo geza? It doesn't have the geza means the trunk. It doesn't have the trunk. What does it mean? Sovar Rav Zvid lemeimar ein lo geza lebal dekel. The owner of the palm tree, the one who bought the tree, will not have a geza. Why? The kevan de lemichfar v'leshorish kai, because it usually doesn't replace itself. When the palm tree dies or gets dry, it doesn't grow again. So therefore what? You're going to cut it off. Asuchi maser daite. So he's masir das. Now here, I peeked into the Mesivta, they say there's 8 explanations to this Gemara. We're not going to learn the 8. We're going to learn 2. But just to know, this Gemara is a hard Gemara to understand. The Rashbam learns that the Pshat is, we will see the Rashbam inside, the Pshat is that because the owner of the tree has the tree as long as he has in mind to get the tree. Usually a palm tree does not regrow. So if the tree dies, it's over. It's over. Now, what happens if here there was an exception to the rule and the tree did grow again? Too late. It was Mesich Daiter. So the owner of the tree doesn't have the tree. So the Gemara asks, let's just continue according to the Rashbam, that I don't understand. When I have two trees, so two trees is meant, you're not meant to regrow, to replant the tree, and I still have a geza. So, if the rule is that anything that I'm not going to keep after it dies is not mine, so why every tree is that way? What it means is, not because it's going to be cut off. I mean, the way I said before, that's where a bubble. Whereas Vid said is, because the Michva Mishkai, because eventually you're going to take out that tree. So where every tree is like that. If you don't buy the land, if the tree dies, you can take it off. So no, because here you don't regrow. When the tree dies, it doesn't regrow. So okay, that's very good. So that's only by Dekel, not other things. Well, there's Vid Kashma says, what does Vid say with the Mishnah? We're talking about the grew to 5 years. Let's look what Shorish Bam says. Look at Shorish Bam. And we're starting with the third line in the Rashbam, third wide line. When the tree will die, that loy konakak. Asuchi masel daite says the Rashbam baladekel minati letzem legeza. The sabu shemi yivashadekel meir v'lo yitzigeza. So the tree will die, so it won't have anymore. It's not similar to other trees. Once they cut, you cut it and then you regrow. Because they regrow. But once it dries, it's over. So said the Gemara, now we're going to the next Rashbam. Sorry, according to Rashbam, the Gemara is just asking, we're talking there about a dekel too. So Papa says, "Elo Papa lo tite time da asuch dait bechoyve b'sharish and le'el gez ba'adegek le'omad lo mitaymich fi she'ein derech dekel lo yitzi min ha'gez ha'klum el lamala b'reish b'dim kol ha'nofif." The v'filach yasir daiter. V'afilu yimikvi yitzi min ha'gez, even though if it regrows anyway, ha'reish b'akarko, it's still b'akarko. Hi, what about the Mishnah? It says b'ilona so iglim lo yitzi gez ha'mayir v'lo b'dekel. So according to Rashbam, what's the difference between Zvid and Rav Papa? Where Zvid said we're talking about a palm tree. Something more palm tree, so why it doesn't regrow? So you don't have anything. So what about our Mishnah talking about palm tree too? So the Papa, the Mishnah is not talking about a palm tree. So according to that, it says the Rashbam, the Zvid is feeling moitzi geza kashim asiz b'chol ilona so tzir geza mayri. Zvid understand does moitzi geza. So then we talk about a Mishnah. He gave it 5 years, he can regrow it. Now the Torah says, and many of the Rishonim are asking the Rashbam, this doesn't fit. Let's just see, and we want to see the question. The Torah says, what is our Papa answering? You want to tell me that according to our Papa is talking about the Mishnah is talking about not a palm tree, and according to the first one that was talking about palm trees, that's a big doichak. The Oit says the Torah says, the Mefash the Mazbech HaMeshanim Shim Yamus Toch Kach Yitachim and Koimoy Haktani V'Yimei Suyen Lo Karka. So it's clear in the Mishnah like that. So the Rashbam is a big doichak to explain in the Mishnah. Because according to Rashbam, the Mishnah is talking about that he has 5 years to regrow trees. And it should be different. Where do we see that in the Mishnah? The Torah disagrees. So there's many other Purushim. And the Torah himself says, there is, it didn't say only palm tree, but anything that's similar to a palm tree. And then he goes with similar idea of the Rashbam. The Rabbeinu Chananel, so there's many, like we said, there's 8 Pirushim when they're sharing to explain this Gemara. But Rabbeinu Chananel has a different girsa. When Chananel's girsa is, Ein lo geza lebala karka, not lebala dekel. We learned that whatever grows from the roots belongs to the owner of the land. Whatever grows from the tree belongs to the owner of the tree. The owner of the land, or the owner of the tree, Elu dekel, elu geza, to the bala dekel. What does it mean to bala dekel? The bala karka, sorry. The bala karka won't get from the tree. So it explains and here you have many Pirushim wants to explain the Rabbi Chananel. But one way the Torah brings it if you look at the Taisis in the middle, he says, Oid mifarish b'nutam, lefi shitas rabbeinu Chananel, v'lo yigorus b'milsa d'azvid, ein lo gezla ba'al dekel. Ela sober azvid l'mim ein lo gezla, kolomai ein lo din gezla. Doesn't have the halachas of a tree. The name of oilu mishoshil ba'al akarka. Ela kol the ba'al dekel. The exact opposite. Afilo oilu mishoshil. Why? Because it's meant to be cut off. The owner of the tree will take the tree with its roots. So therefore, that's what he wants to say. And that's what he wants to go. And then he says that after 5 years, the owner of the tree can take the tree until 5 years. After 5 years, it belongs to the owner of the land. So according to the Rebbeinu Chananel, it's the exact opposite. So our Gemara, and again, we show you many ways that explain it exactly. But the two main Malachim in our Gemara, the Gemara is telling us that by a decal doesn't regrow, so therefore you don't have a replacement. And the question is, I explain the Mishnah or whatever. Or the pshat is that because it doesn't grow, so he takes the roots, and the owner of the land doesn't have the roots. Two main ways to explain the Gemara. It says about kono shloisha kono karka. You have 3 trees, you have the land as well. The Kalmo Umalchir Baba Ambichon Kono Tachteyim Ubeneyim Chutzolem underneath the trees, underneath the Rashbam explains, underneath the branches of the trees. Pineim is between the trees. The Chutzolem, which is around the trees, outside, not between the trees. His kindness says they want to be based on the base, Kemeloi Oiro Pesalo, which was Oire Pesalo, which is the Milaket, the one who takes the fruits out of the tree. So you coined that whole area. Sorry. Apologies. How can it be that we learn that when a person gets a bor, he buys a bor, we hold he doesn't have a derech to the bor. If you hold moicher by your own moicher, you don't have a derech to the bor. So we hold you don't have a derech. And now you're going to tell me that he gets around the tree amount of miloyer v'salo. They go around the tree, which is the milaket. That's what he gives it in. Now the different Yisros here in the Gemara, but we'll learn the way the Bach learns it. The way the Bach reads it is like this: Hashto derech eloy de'arechitzi oyer v'salo yeshloi. Okay, in other words, there's one big question: how can you give him more? You don't give him the way. You give him oyer v'salo. So in other words, it's questioning this thing. Does it make sense? According to Abelazar, according to Abelazar says that you give him Arvis Haloi. I'm giving Abelazar the question, they give him Arvis Haloi. When a person buys 3 trees and he has the land among the trees, doesn't have a derech. Like when you sell a bar, you don't have a derech. You don't have a way to get there. Right? Because he tells him that, but if I have only 2 trees, I don't have a land anyway. So I'm saying my trees are on your land. So then I do have a derech. I don't have a derech to get to my land, but if I'm using your land, I do have a derech. It's not arachisi. It's not a different land, like the Rebbe Loza says. The trees are on your land. The Rebbe Loza doesn't hold like Shmuel is Rebbe. Rebbe Loza that said I don't have a derech, what does he go to? He goes like Bandarma that says which means I'm not selling you the derech. So that's not like a Bekiva, the Pascha Moicher B'an Yafo Moicher. Says the Gemara, so I'll tell you what, our Mishnah is not a Bekiva. What did it say? It says, if it grows, that's what we mentioned at the beginning, if the branches grow, so you cut it off if you have 3 trees. How can it be our Mishnah Rabbi Kiva? Kiva is not Rabbi Kiva. Because according to Rabbi Kiva, a person is very generous when he sells. He gives a derech. So the same way he gives a derech, he also gives what? He also gives also the allowance to have branches into it. So you see a Mishnah Rabbi Kiva. So that's what we explain a Mishnah like Rabban. Says the Gemara, That's very good. We're talking about bor reduced by a pit that doesn't ruin the land. And you're right that I'm saying that you say moicher ba'anyofa moicher. Kabeilon mishamasle. No, but a tree, if I have branches going into the field, they ruin the field. They cause shade, and they don't allow the field to have enough sun. And if rain is enough rain, doesn't Akiva agree? When a person has a tree tilting into his friend's land, that he cuts off the tree straight up. Why? Even if he sold it, because I sold to you, so I'm giving you a little bit more generous as long as it doesn't hurt me. But if it hurts me, I'm not being very generous. So immediately you could say the Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva, and you still have a raya over here that blows the is not going that way. Says the Gemara Tanika V'Seder B'Chia Ba'abo, that we bring a raya B'Chia Ba'abo that they do get the amount of a person going around the tree. Why? Because it says Harei Ze Kono Tachteim U'B'Neim V'Chutz Aleim Kemelo Oyer V'Salei. Yeah, you are koine the entire area with that, like B'Chia Ba'abo says, and not like the question of Rabbi Elazar. Says the Gemara, only Abai Le'Vesif Oysem Oyer V'Salei. This area that I have around the trees for a person to go and cut the fruits, means Zoyer. Who's going to be the one who has the right to plant it? Is it the owner of the tree because it belongs to him to use it? Or the owner of the land because the guy only has a right to go around to cut, but after he all uses the land the whole time? It says regarding what? Regarding that, as the Rashbam brings over here, that when you have an outside garden, the way that you give to the inner garden, depends if you made a deal, didn't make a deal, will be planted by the one who has the outside field, where the derech goes through it. Right? So the derech belongs to the outside field to Zureh. So you see, you can do it. Only midomi. Also, there, what does the guy care if I plant in the pathway? I can still walk there. But even if you're planting, I'm not going to be able to cut my tree well. Right? The fruits is causing I'm saying the opposite. Look at Losh Rashbam. Right? The owner doesn't care because he's going to stop it. The owner of the tree will lose. Why? Right? Because he says, my fruits, when they fall on the ground, if it's clean, my fruits will be good. But if there's full of seeds over there, my fruits will get ruined. If you want to compare it to the next part. Right? We're talking about that it has to be like a case where both can't touch it. Look at Rosh Rashbam. Basically gave him a derech midat shneim. In that case, that both were given based on basic. And the Rashbam says, why not? Because they both agreed to do a derech. Once they made an official way, so then you say nobody can plant it. So here also it bothers me. So therefore nobody should plant it. Says the one Tanika say that that's what he gets the owner of the tree. The both can go and plant it. Why can't they plant it? Because it bothers both, and this is like a no man's land where nobody can plant that area. So we'll stop over here.